Warning: this podcast may contain explicit content. Parental approval advised. Hello. So, my guest today is an Alliance, a level 60 warrior tank. And I just heard about this maybe a few days ago, that this person left his guild. I'm not sure if he's in a new guild right now, but when I interviewed him, he was still in and the boys. So please welcome Vorti.
It says, you give a poor man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish. You give him
There we go. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, it's always a thing whenever I invite people into my Discord. I usually have like multiple input and output, and I have to like select the right one. Sometimes it works without selecting it because I have everything in default the way I want it. Since I mess with my sound all the time because of my recordings and stuff like that.
Voice meter, I'm assuming.
What's that?
Voice meter, I'm assuming.
No, just
You have a hardware mixer.
not exactly. I just have like my PlayStation 4 controller is connected to my computer, and that makes it counts as an audio, so it adds that whenever
Weird.
I plug it in. I know, it's crazy.
Really weird, man, but I get it,
Yeah.
Because it has a little jack, doesn't it?
Yep. So and I'm too lazy to plug it in the front of my PS4, which is like in front of me. I just have this cable right there. I just plug it in. I don't know.
You're talking about to charge it. Yeah.
Yeah, to charge it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you're in Purge now, right?
Yeah, I have been.
That's where I see you in there periodically.
Yeah.
I log on in my Hordy.
Yeah. And when it was Scarab, I was in Scarab, and it's my place. I've been here for ever since. I don't even know how long, for maybe like five months or something. Been raiding with these guys.
Respect a lot of them, man. I like a lot of the Purge guys, so.
Yeah, I've never had bad experience with them, and I'm still glad that they take me in to raid with them on my main. I have a shaman on my main, and that's how I started with them.
Okay.
So
Ubi and I got pretty close, so.
oh, cool, man. Yeah, Ubi he has a rogue, right? Ubi Gesta or something?
Yeah.
Ubi, yep.
Yeah, he's a rogue in both Purge and the boys.
I see. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a few that people that would make fun of him, like calling him traitor and stuff. It's kind of funny, but
Oh, I'm sure.
we don't.
Sure. And in turn, it gives them a hard time. But
Yeah.
it's nothing but respect all around.
So, anyway,
Mhm.
I guess it's all open for you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Are you recording?
yes, I have been.
Oh, man.
Welcome. So this Cade guy, he's still going on about. I noticed that he didn't log in for a while, and then
T-Horde Alliance, what? Because you said his name and I looked him up, and it was just nothing but a bunch of complaining about Ash Kandi.
Yeah, he's a horde. He's a warrior.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And yeah, I'd have no idea on him. Besides what I read that one day.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how our our world kind of, we're in the same world, but it doesn't have anything to do with each other. We don't know people from other side.
Exactly.
Especially like, even if I've interviewed a few there, I've been interviewed Tiny Traveler, Lessless, PP Storm, just a few Alliance, now Rectitude, and they kind of share some of the stories and kind of drama what happened, and it kind of gave me a little bit of an idea. But
Tiny is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
highly respect that guy.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He pretty easygoing.
Yeah.
So, are you guys working on your bug grind and the contribution to our small server?
Yes and yes. First bug got completed. I think he had to wait for a couple of resets.
Mm-hmm.
The grind, the guild went out and helped him. He got that done, in my opinion, pretty quick. It was just the other stuff, just coordinating to get people around the world to do all the different events.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, he had pretty good RNG on the Emerald drop, so we weren't there for hours upon hours.
Mm-hmm.
But he got it done. And then the second guy, he's had some help from people, not as much as I guess he should have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's at like 90% now for the rep grind, and then we'll get him complete on the rest of it. But honestly, with the rate of our war effort on Realm, I think he has time. I think a lot of these people have time.
That's cool, man. This is how many? That's the carapace, right? The ones that you need. How many carapace do you need in order to get that?
What is it, like
20...
42,000 or 41,000 if you're non-human, and then like 37,000 if you're a human?
No, this is more than I thought. I thought it was only like 20,000. So crazy.
Well, yeah. Well, you gotta bump yourself over that hated, and you only get one rep per therapist, so it adds up. That's why it's really grindy, and I salute anyone who went through that. I considered it in the beginning. It was something I wanted to do, and then I realized that I just didn't have time and just a mount, and it would make other people quite happy,
Yeah, sure. I mean, are you the guild leader or any officer by any chance?
No.
I mean, do you have like a lot of close friends that would help you if you did decide to get this?
Back when we were talking about it originally, I think it was like 4 or 5 months back, maybe even longer. I don't know. I was the guild master then, but it was kind of like, it was more of like who would be willing to put in the effort. It had nothing to do with status. And there were a couple of people that were put in, but I think now it was just more like a vote, and also people that were committed to doing it. Because COVID changed everything, man. Like, everyone started to have extra time to play. And, I mean, let's be honest, there'd be, 5 times or more people out there if this was 2 or 3 months ago when the lockdowns really did hit everything. Because a lot of people are back to work now, so they don't really have the time commitment to do it. Like myself, I'm hardcore, always working, so I didn't really have the time to sit there and grind bugs over and over and over again.
Yeah, same with me. With my speed limit, actually on maybe like 3 weeks ago, I got asked to be maybe like a part of our main raider for AQ40, and I was like, I don't have time. I don't think I can put the effort into it, and count me out. I'll just be like a flex raider or something, or at least consider me one if you guys decide. And in between that time, I was also working on my rank. I guess I just rank 11 because I stopped after that. And I thought about just going through like 13, but I'm like I didn't have a lot of time, and school's starting soon too. So I work for a school and getting ready, to prepare all the stuff that we have for this coming school year. So it was kind of tough for me.
Well, nobody wants to go from an honor grind directly over to a bug grind. I mean, it's too much time investment, and I guess you got to find a balance too. Like you said, you couldn't find the time to do it, and I mean, realistically, you probably could. It's just, do you want to sacrifice your self time?
Mm-hmm.
Be stuck somewhere,
So, for this time being of the grinding of the bug, have you noticed any people that are, that don't want to really do the bug grinding with their guild and end up being punished for them? Have you seen any of those yet?
I haven't seen any punishment. I've seen a lot of people that voluntarily go out and do it on their own time.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that don't really contribute as much as others. I myself, I'm pretty included in that. I haven't really contributed to helping as much as I should have.
Yeah, me neither, yeah.
But I don't really see anybody in other guilds getting punished, per se.
Or getting mad at all, or...
No, I haven't seen any like hatred or anything. No pointing fingers like, hey, you're not pulling your weight kind of a thing. I think it's more of like, it's a cool achievement and you're helping your friends do it. So it's kind of like a sacrifice you make to kind of bring joy to other people that you play with on a constant basis.
Yeah, for sure. And I was afraid of, just considering that it made it look like I didn't care about the progression as Purge, because I'm on my speed limit trying to rank while everybody's grinding up in Silithus. And after I ranked the way I wanted, I'm like I didn't even want to like try to play on my rogue anymore, and just like I want to relax for a little bit. And from the time being of relaxing, I got used to it, and I didn't want to log into my shaman to kind of help out. But I helped maybe a couple or one time. If these guys are listening, I'd still help out if I had to, if I had the actual motivation for it. Just kind of sitting here and just, and also with this interview thing too, like, I want to keep doing this interview with people. It's so hard right now to ask a lot from a few people that I've talked to. You want to talk? It's like, oh, I'm raiding. It's like, okay, oh damn, all right, that's fine.
And I know, and I've blown you off, and I apologize. It's been busy. I raid on 2 or 3 different characters, so
dude, no worries, man. Because I think the last time I talked to Bacteria was maybe like waiting for like 3 months on him or something, and we finally got to talk. So yeah, this happens. It happens. We'll get you, and now we're talking. So there's probably a few of my guests that I want to be in this podcast too. That I've been kind of talking, and we'll get you someday. Don't worry.
I see it. So I gotta ask you, what got you into World of Warcraft?
Oh, well, I used to play in vanilla, Argent Dawn server, as an alliance.
What got you started there?
And
question.
Actually, my cousin, was talking about it like after, I think 1 year it came out, 2004 it came out, and then 2005 I got started playing. He introduced me to it. He was talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy this game. I've been playing it for like almost a year, and let's go to Walmart and I'll drive you there, we'll get it. I'm like, okay, fine. So we went there, got it, installed it, and when I click play and I got into this character selection, it like I had no other games to compare it to. Like I'd never had that experience where I get to select my own character and rename it. This was my first game that I did that, and customized my my character. So I did the research, and I fell in love with Hunters. So I started that. I started playing it, and that's the initial point of where I started getting addicted to it. I'm in this one huge area, where I forgot what that called, Darnassus, Kalimdor, that area there where Night Elves starts, right?
Gyarados. Yeah.
So I was leveling there, and I'm like, this place is so huge, right? And my cousin really like didn't say anything yet. He already had level 60 Paladin, and he was leveling a rogue at that time. Gave me some gold and a few bags, so to help me a little bit. And then I started going out into this world after I was level 10. I'm like, is there more into this? So I started looking out, and I started looking at maps, and I pressed M, and then I zoomed out, and I was like, this place is huge. I'm like, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. From that point on, I started to just travel across, and in between I get kind of been following a few alliance here and there that reported me, and the GM ended up telling me to back off, otherwise they'll ban me or something. And I got scared, so I didn't do that anymore. Pretty much like a stalking type, I didn't know any better, man. I didn't even know
Yeah.
I didn't even know Game Master exists then. So I was like, who the hell is this guy? Telling me to back up. It's like, oh, I'm a guild master. I'm like, is this a thing? So I stopped doing that, and ever since, reaching to level 60 alone was just like, everybody was saying, it's like, you haven't seen anything until you level to 60. 60 is actually when you start playing. So I'm like, what does that even mean? I didn't even know what that means. So, I started raiding and Molten Core raids, Onyxia, and I remember how hard it was back then. It's like now it's just so easy now. But yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
No, it's the wonder. It's the exploration, when I first started in vanilla, I took forever to hit max level because I would just go places.
Yeah.
And explore places that were way too high for me to be in. But it was just, oh, it's a new zone, You've never seen it before. It's the first time. Like now it's like, oh, whatever. But back then it's like, it's that awe,
Yeah. And before, I'd never thought about this, but I never thought about this before I watched this video why people why they should bring up Classic before even Classic came out. Why they should bring up Vanilla, or what fun was that when people were playing Vanilla. This guy was saying something about just the talent trees and stuff, and then he pointed out community, and WoW Vanilla had the best community because everybody knew each other. And you see him in auction house, and then a week later you will see him in the dungeon or being in the dungeon together. But then when they started doing the cross realm, I don't even know which expansion was that on. Was it Cataclysm?
It was Wrath.
Wrath?
It was
okay.
Wrath, yeah.
Okay. And Wrath alone wasn't bad. Maybe it was just the beginning of it when it started, fading out, the fun of it because of that. Communities kind of diminishing. And when he mentioned this, I was like, oh, that was right, because we were in we would see somebody like, you know, a day later. It's the same guy, you know, who helped us quest like 2 days ago, and talking to that guy, it's like, oh hey man, you know, that's awesome, you did that for us, you know. I think I want to return the favor. If you have any alt, you know, we'd like to, you know, run you some dungeons. I don't think you can see. I don't think there's a situation like that where you can find that in, you know, retail. And it's just, retail is just a thing now where you just click this one icon and join in a dungeon, and then you won't see each other again, or maybe once a month or something. You know, it's not like you can make connections.
Well, the reason I came to Classic is because of the community. I played I started 2 or 3 months after WoW launched, and I remember, you know, you're leveling up, you run into people. One of the guys that I actually ran into like 15 years ago, we kept running into each other in different zones and different dungeon groups, and we ended up becoming really good friends, still are really good friends. When you have time to, I guess, get to know someone where you don't have like them in person, you really, I guess, express your feelings and emotions to them, so you really create a bigger bond. So it's really, really close friendship, I guess you could say. And it's because of that whole running into people. And when I mean, I still play retail, but when you go back to retail, you hop in a dungeon, you're queued up with anybody from any number of realms, and people are super toxic for it because they know they'll never have to see you again. And you will never see them again. Very rarely do you see the same person unless it's like the only tank queuing up or the only healer queuing up. And you might run into them a few times, you might add them to BNet, you might run some things, and then that's it. The only people you really meet in retail now are people on your realm, in your guild. And outside of that, they don't exist. Nobody exists. Like, they don't know each other. And when I came back to vanilla, I mean, it was exactly as I remembered in those rose-tinted glasses, you know? Just people know who you are. Like, I remember in Burning Crusade, I'd be like, hey, I'm, you know, going to go run some heroic dungeons, and people would know exactly who I am and be, you know, jumping on board for that. And it's just because they knew. They knew who you were. You go into retail now, and if you said that, people will just laugh you off, you know?
Yeah.
So the community is definitely a big thing, but, I mean, let's be honest, back then, it was also the unknown, the exploration. I think there was a video, what was it, like 2005 or something. It was the WoW Exploration movie, I think is what it was called. And it was this guy, Dopefish, who just went around in different zones that you can't normally access, like Hyjal or GM Island or the Emerald Dream or other unfinished zones that they had. And, you know, just watching that, even myself back then, it was like, oh, wow, you know, there's all this unexplored areas, you know, there's not any information on it. I want to go there. I want to see it. Now it's like quick Google search. You know, you pull up Wowhead or whatever, and boom, you already know. Or you've been playing for 15 years and you know every in and out of this game.
That's right. When you're talking about the emotions too, you know, a lot of people seems to not realize when they play this game, you know, like you said, it comes with emotion, getting to know somebody, and that alone, you know, you can make friends, and you can also make enemies, and you know, there's a lot of that in here that I noticed that, you know, that took a lot of people in as a friend, but they don't really commit of that notion of being a friend. Like, for instance, you know, a friend would say, okay, you know, if a loot drop or something, right, and you both want it, you're like, a good friend would be like, okay, how do you want to do this? You want it, or You want to wait for the second one to drop, and you can have that one, or should we like roll for it? You know, that kind of agreement is kind of needed, and people don't realize that, and they just, you know, they don't say anything at first, they don't communicate, and when it happens, one person might get mad and leave and will not talk to that person again, which is so dumb, man. Like, think about, like, in reality, like, you don't do that in real life. I mean, it's a game, but at the same time, there's an actual real player behind that character.
I think that's why I'm so, I guess, forgiving and passive to Horde. It's like people all the time are like, "Oh, it's Red is dead," because I mean, I'm Alliance, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
Same thing for you towards Alliance, I guess. But you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, if it's Red is dead, you know, it doesn't matter what level, doesn't matter who they are or what they're doing." And me, I mean, I see people, and it's like, you know, this person is struggling on a quest, or they're about to die. And I will go in and help them, or I'll find a way to communicate with them and ask if they do need assistance, because people think they're just mindless bots on the opposite faction when they are living, breathing people, you know, just like everyone else. And when you just sit there and ruin their day, I mean, you could potentially come up on someone who's just trying to chill out after a very stressful or emotional situation, and then now they have, you know, gangster camping their corpse. You know, it's not a good thing. So
yeah, I mean, I would do that once in a while, just because I think it's part of the game for me. And sometimes I would get like really, really competitive when against Alliance. You know, I'm like, let's kill him. You know, but I get what you're saying. Where if you do that all the time, and it's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't sound fun to me. I need varieties, you know. Just maybe do BGs, maybe do world PvP, and I never really world PvP. I just do dungeons. But if I see somebody like an Alliance or something that, you know, I want to kill that time, and if I'm in the mood, I would do it. But otherwise, I just do it like once or twice and just leave. But yeah,
but that's the difference.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
It's ganking someone and moving on versus trying to intentionally cause pain for this person, you know?
Yeah, who was that dwarf guy that left our server? You know what I'm talking about. He's a rogue. Talate. Takate? Is it Takate or Talate?
I don't recognize the name.
Talate.
Is he a big ganker or something?
Yeah, he used to be in a guild called We Gank Noob or Lobbies or something. And they would just camp on your bodies for like hours and until you log out. Or Talat. I think it's Talate. I might be butchering this.
Like our side, the thing that a lot of people had to worry about was bacteria and beeswax. They would be places, you know, and it's I respect it because I used to play a rogue, and honestly, one of the reasons I started playing WoW, because I used to think it was the dumbest game ever. But a coworker of mine was like, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm an orc rogue, and you know, I sneak into these camps and I just screw with people. I sap them and distract them and just do everything to be a nightmare for them." And I'm like, man, that sounds like fun, you know?
Yeah,
screwing with people. So I get it. When you're a rogue, you can screw with people, and it can be fun. And they don't just sit on you and camp you over and over and over again. They'll kill you a couple times, and then they just kind of let you go, you know? They're just having fun, and that's what I mean by respecting it. There's been times where I've been in the middle of nowhere, and I've logged out. And when I come back in a couple hours later, within seconds, I'm getting ganked by beeswax. You know, it's kind of like that. There's always this creature, you know, behind a corner stalking you, kind of a thing. But it just happens to be in the right place at the right time. But I never feel like they take it overboard. Yes, they kill tons of people. It's not like they're sitting on their body, you know, preventing them from playing the game.
Yeah, they actually go around and stuff. That's cool.
I mean, they do have their usual spots, but yeah.
Yeah, man. That's really cool. And I was gonna say something too with the I lost track. I'm reading this guild chat.
Don't do that during a talk.
No. Somebody. Okay. Can you give me like 1 minute? I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that.
Worries, mate.
It's they put up a guild message and just popped in. All I see this gray text, and then all of a sudden this green text came. Just kind of, whoa, what's that? But you were talking about.
Oh, just, Origins, getting into the game, the communities, the friends we've made.
Oh yeah.
The journey, nothing special.
Sure. It kind of reminded me, my friend, his name is Randy. Shout out to Randy. He's working in this place, and his boss apparently started playing WoW, and he didn't know about it until, a couple months later, maybe like a month later. So he found out, and so added him as a friend, and started playing on my boss's server. So they're playing together, and my boss was like, his boss was like, I'm level 20, and I can't buy any more gear. Like I didn't like all the gear sellers are like lower level now. Like I can't buy any more gear. And my friend was like, what do you mean you can't buy any more gear? So let me see your gear. So he checked his gear out, and his boss, what he's been doing was buying the white gears and gray gears from vendors.
Seriously, from the vendors? Really? Like the male vendors and stuff? Oh my god, man.
He's like level 25 or something. And it's like, I can't buy him any more gears. I was like, that was I think that's one of the best thing that you can hear when people starts playing WoW. Just the the noob moment of each person. Like it kind of reminds me of myself back then too. I don't know what I did. I think I didn't figure out the talent tree until I was like maybe level 20 or 19, and that alone, I didn't figure out the level of my hunter pets that you're supposed to train them to. So that moment alone was just kind of reminded me of that thing, that you kind of felt embarrassed about, but it's kind of a learning thing if you don't really research it that thoroughly. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh shit, I should have just looked more into it. And they did have that tutorial book that cost, as much as the game. But you said,
$40, yeah.
Yeah, but you said to yourself, oh, no, you don't need that shit. You don't need it. So you come home and play the game, and then 2 months later you found out that all the shit that you could do, and you kind of regret not buying that book. And it might have been like a collector edition for now that would cost a ton of money, not a lot, but it would have its own value.
Nostalgia, man.
Yeah. So
no, I had a pretty new moment too back in the day. Like
Sure.
I made a rogue early on in vanilla, and I played it and played it and played it, and I was still getting content down. And I went to go have a nostalgia kick with my brother because we used to do a lot of Diablo 2, and I finally made an assassin, and that's when I realized how rogue combo points worked.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, man.
Took me literally months and playing a separate game to figure out how to actually play a rogue, because I was just like spamming buttons, I didn't know how the hell to do anything back then,
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, crap, I was a mace rogue. Like, For the longest time, I had Fell Striker,
Mm-hmm.
and I almost got a second Fell Striker too, which I fell asleep for, and I'll always tell that story. But I had a Fell Striker and main hand, and then offhand was like, I think a Thrash Blade. Like, I kept a Thrash Blade forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the big thing, dagger main hand, sword offhand. And I asked someone, what are we supposed to do? And it's like, oh, just stand behind the boss and spam backstab. Go this spec with Adrenaline Rush and pop Adrenaline Rush and spam backstab more. And it's like, okay, I'm doing damage, guys, before there were really damage meters. And, you felt like you're contributing. And then I look back and I'm like, I was pretty dog shit,
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, Good Maces came out in AQ, and I was like, oh, hey, I can equip those, and they're pretty good. I'm like, I'm going to go with this combat mace spec. And I started having a lot of fun with it. And, the stun factor alone was pretty awesome, especially in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, like, it's not competitive. But, at the time, I felt like I was God, I was just going ham on things, thud, thud, thud.
Sure.
But apparently it wasn't really doing that much.
Yeah,
Good old days.
Yeah, it's crazy how I used to play my hunter all the time. I never had any other character but him until Burning Crusade came out and I started leveling a druid. And my hunter was probably the most fun I've ever had because of feign deaths and trying to pull, dungeons and feigning death and getting kicked out of dungeons. It was worth it. 5 minutes into I remember when I was trying to get my bone slicing hatchet from Stratholme, and I needed 2 of those. I'm there all the time, trying to get that one drop because I already had one, and I never got it. And I stopped. I think I stopped playing after Nax came out, and I never had a chance to actually go through even AQ40. I never had a chance to go there and finish the whole thing in vanilla. That's part of it.
Personally, didn't touch an axe, so I know the feeling on that. This is going to be like nostalgia overload,
Sure, yeah. And I'm kind of thinking because when Wrath of the Lich King came out, that's when they introduced it again, Nax, and I did go to that one, but I'm almost wondering, like, people were trying to compare it to, and I'm like, oh, I wish I played Nax so I have something to compare it to. But yeah, I never had that experience. I wish I did, but you do?
The mechanics are the same in a sense. A lot of things were nerfed down, and you got to remember too, knowledge is big.
Mm-hmm.
What we know now, or even in Wrath, was 100 times greater than what people knew about back in vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few resources. There weren't big theory crafters. A lot of people didn't know how a lot of the mechanics worked.
Yes.
All right, I found a random rogue. Alm farming. Poked him.
Nice.
But like Nax, I mean, to put it in perspective, like my guild attempted it. We couldn't even kill a boss. Like, I don't know how the hell we did AQ, but Nax was rough.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of late goers to AQ too, so there was at least some kind of like, semi guides to it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But to put in perspective how hard it was, I mean, I went back to Nax at 70. This was in Burning Crusade, and we had a 40-man group ready to go, and we went in there, and we got our asses handed to us.
Oh, no way.
We couldn't just brute force it. It wasn't one of those types of raids, and you actually had to know mechanics. And then Wrath, it really brought out, teaching people what the mechanics were.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot more resources. So I think it got a lot easier for people, and so they see it and they're like, oh, this is a joke. And yes, it got kind of dumbed down, but it's still the basics. But still, thinking of doing that in vanilla is just insane. And you've grown as a character over the time doing the different raids anyway, so you've kind of learned to deal with different mechanics. And a lot of things are recycled in retail, mechanic-wise on bosses. So a lot of the things you would have learned in, Burning Crusade raids might reflect back to what you need to do on bosses in Nax and vice versa.
Sure, for sure. I did enjoy a lot playing in Wrath of the Lich King, and I know I talked about this a few times, but one of my friends who is like a really, really hardcore raider that played WoW a lot, and when he found out about the changes, especially the talent tree when Cataclysm came out, that update before Cataclysm came out, because they always do this huge update, right? They make changes so they're prepared for that, next couple of days when you install the game, it's running ready.
Yeah.
And he found out about the talent trees. It's like, fuck this. Like, quit that night, unsubbed, and he never logged in WoW ever again. Like, it's one of those things. He used to be my real life friend too. Like, I never even heard anything from him after that. He's just gone and vanished out of the world. So,
you ever see that Jimmy video? One of the contenders for the BlizzCon content creators.
No.
It's basically kind of like what you described. It's two people that were good friends, and then they got in a little squabble. It was over, what was it? One of them wanted to be Scryer, and one of them wanted to be Aldore or whatever. In Shatrath, yeah. And he just got in a fight, and then one day Jimmy just logged off, never came back again.
Jeez.
You have to watch it if you haven't seen it. It's actually it hits the feels.
Sure, I like stuff like that. One of the things that not just the most dank stuff that just happened. Like Leroy and all this people that played WoW kind of reference, and I don't think. Well, it's except the Onyxia guy, the Mordots. I guess that's the only.
Yeah.
Those are the only two things that are really popular is Leroy and Mordots. But so what's your guild, man? Like, what guild are you in?
And the boys.
And the boys. That's right. You've been in there since you signed up?
Yeah, we created it back in, I'm gonna say late November, early December. We were a split off guild. We didn't like the direction certain things were going in, and so the people that I guess didn't agree with current leadership split off. And of course, whenever there's a split, there's always drama. There's always rumors. There's always people trying to start crap. So
sure, yeah.
I feel like we did okay.
Who's your guild leader?
Right now, Haley.
Haley. Oh, Haley.
I'm sure you've seen him quite a bit. Yeah.
Yes. He's in freaking Orgrimmar all the time.
Yeah.
Just around.
And I used to go to Orgrimmar all the time, but I wouldn't be attacking people. I would just chill out with people.
Chill. Nice.
So, I mean, there's a big difference. You'll definitely know Haley because he'll be on the roof throwing fireballs at you.
I know, yeah. And yeah, a few people that are, trying to gank me in here too. There's another hunter that tried to shoot at me across the hallway of the drag. There's a spot there that he can't be touched by the guard, so he waits there and kind of kills people when they walk by or cross by.
See, and that's silly because my first ban that I had on WoW was with Burning Crusade, but it was literally marked as what was it? Exploiting guard mechanics.
Mhm.
Is what it was, and it was just basically any situation where a guard cannot attack you, I guess, is an exploit according to them, at least back then.
Mhm.
And me, I was in Divine Intervention.
Mhm.
You know what that is? Where you get put in a bubble.
Yeah,
a
Divine
paladin
Intervention.
sacrifices himself. Yeah,
Yes,
and then
yes.
you get put in that bubble, untargetable and everything for 3 minutes. And,
Yep.
And I was Horde, and I've always been Horde except for here on Deviate Delight. It's my first time as Alliance. And, yeah, it was just me and my Paladin friend. We were both Pallies and Ironforge, and I got DI'd on a mailbox, and apparently because the guards couldn't attack and kill me, it was considered exploiting guard mechanics. And it was a pretty quick judgment. So, I'm curious when these people sit on rooftops, how they get away with it, if Blizzard really did stick to it, what they
Yeah.
originally thought were exploiting.
This was back in, you said back in vanilla when you get banned?
Yeah, no, this would have been Burning Crusade, so 2007.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, damn. They probably still have, a few amount of people who are trying to just read what they do, what they can in some sort of a freaking pool of stuff that players are doing, kind of. I don't know if they just click a button that says ban this guy from that.
No, they're just really
Judgment
hands off in Classic. It's kind of obnoxious, honestly, because there's bots running rampant, and they don't do anything because they do ban waves, and then you see all the time people getting banned for the silliest things. Especially during this war effort, oh god, this guy's farming a bunch of these mats. He must be exploiting, and this is right when they do a war effort where you're supposed to farm a ton of these certain mats,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of what's that called? False positive. Is that what it's called? Or
the false, yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of that. It can happen. I mean, shit, man. That's if they created some sort of a thing that scans some sort of shit that's in your installation file or in the folders alone, maybe that'll help, but I don't know. It's kind of hard.
They
to
have Guardian. No one really knows how it works these days, and I don't even know if they use it on Classic. Honestly, doubt it. But a lot of crap for it because it was scanning your system memory. It was screenshotting and sending back screenshots of your current desktop. Periodically to catch any hooks you might have, any overlays, and it's just, I don't know if they ran stuff. Yeah, and to be honest, they probably do catch people. They just don't want to ban them immediately, so people can't fix anything that's detectable. But
yeah,
I know it's all.
I got banned on my. I created a hunter here, and. My name was Pew Pew America, and I got reported once, and they said that people are reporting your name is offensive. I'm like, fuck, I had to rename it. So I was sitting there I was gonna rename my character. I'm like I can't think of anything really. I just typed. I knew that I was 100% sure that this is not gonna re-allow it, right? So I typed again, Pew Pew America, and it accepted it. So I'm like, oh, they must have fixed it. It must be okay now. And playing for another couple of weeks, and I got home that night and played, and it says I can't log in. I'm temporarily banned for 24 hours because of that.
Because you got flagged again. So my account, it's old. This is my original account. So
yep, me too.
I have a lot of name violations. Apparently douchebag is not really acceptable. but because of that, just easily people were able to report my name, and so I got a temporary ban. I think it was for 3 days or something, and it was just the automated system. So there's not much you could really do about it, but flip side, you can also just change your name back to the original name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know that in Classic. And if it's bad, then of course, you'll get a ticket instead of an automated response. But it's still silly, though, that you can have any kind of like forced name change or any kind of, I guess, retaliation for player reports.
Yeah.
I just find that silly in a social game,
Yeah, and I get it. There's a difference between. I think there's a huge difference between playing in an RP server versus a non-RP, like PvP server, like a full PvP server. Because when I played back in vanilla on the Alliance side, after a few expansions, I went to Horde side, and everything was so different. And it seems like I was playing a different game, but not really. Just different, quest lines, and just the whole point of view of being in Horde was awesome. And I started noticing it because that was a PvP server. I noticed that people in the PvP server act different than, because Argent Dawn was a full RP server, and everybody was so serious and not easy. I mean, they're not like easily offended, but I think it has something to do with just being in an RP server, that you're supposed to like respect the community rule, if that ever existed, which I totally get. Like, I mean, it already happened to me a lot of times in the RP server. So I guess I don't mind changing my name after that. Then it's just that I guess that to my purpose of putting that name too was kind of just funny in a jokey way, I guess.
Makes sense.
I mean, if that helps people to make this server more serious into just looking up as an RP guild. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that have crazy names, man. I mean, and they still have them, but whatever.
It's not as enforced, because I had a coworker that played on Moonguard on retail, and if you ever played retail, you'd know about Moonguard. It's the ultra PvP server, or not PvP, sorry, RP.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really understood it because I've always been on a PvP realm. Mm-hmm. And he took me to one of his campaigns where they live as the character, they talk as the character, they act out a whole scenario. They go places and explore, and it was mind-boggling to me a couple of years back, because I was like, what is this? But I slowly started to get it. It's something fun for people to do, especially with the people with big imaginations. And I never really got it until I started doing D&D nights with the guy.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I kind of get this now.
Yeah,
but over there, they very heavily enforce the name ruling.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very heavy rules on what is acceptable as an RP name and what is not. Here, though, I don't really think they enforce on Classic, but I think that the RP title has really drawn in that type of person that is willing to, I guess, be more friendly and not as toxic as, say, if we were on a full-scale PvP realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is, yep. And
yeah, because there's a lot of friendly people here, and, we do run into the same people. It's a smaller community, and like you were saying earlier, you see the same person over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and and a lot of the times there's kind of a comparison. Kind of if you join like a small club or something, you'd want to respect that type of club without you say your name, and you don't want to, if you had like some sort of nickname, you don't say anything really vulgar, kind of respect it. And in the game, you kind of do the same. You have you have the option to rename your character whatever you want, but at the same time, it'll be up to you if you want to take it seriously or not. And if you don't, then nobody else will take you seriously, and you end up maybe getting reported like that. What I did, but
Well, I feel like too that Deviant Delight originally was a lot more community driven, and I feel like people had a lot more respect for each other because we all kind of grew up with each other. We all had to deal with the same BS. Everyone had to deal with the phase 2 honor being added and the world PvP. And I think when we had the newcomers come over, when transfers were opened, it made people feel alienated because we grew up on a community and we had our own little like cool clubhouse, and then we had people trying to force themselves into the clubhouse. So there was a lot of pushback for them, and I feel bad for them. But at the same time, there were groups of people that did come over that, just didn't mesh well. They didn't try to, blend into the community. They just wanted to, in a sense, start their own little side community, almost force themselves into it or others. And, it kind of, I guess, affected them, but everyone's been over it lately. The last couple months, at least, hopefully. But, I mean, there's other guilds, too. Like, Strength is a good example. They came over open, told everybody what their intentions were. They tried to blend into the community by joining the Discord, getting to know the people, especially before they transferred. And I feel like that really helped with their integration into, the community that Deviant Delight was.
yeah, indeed. We need more players here. I mean, we need quality players. That's what I should say. I mean,
your side is really low pop in my mind. Like, yeah, like if you played Alliance on Deviant Delight, it's way different than playing Horde.
Yeah,
when I go over to the other side, it's totally different.
Yeah, I tried. I did add another account, but I only subbed one for 1 month, just to kind of promote my stuff and talk to people, right? So, I think what I needed to do, what I need to do if I ever decide to, pay for that sub again, is to just play with people, maybe for a few months, 2 months stops, and then getting to know a lot of them and just kind of have familiarizing the Alliance side. And what I did was I just created a mage, and I think level 5 went to Ironforge or Stormwind and started chatting, and not a lot of people really knew me in the same kind of in the same vibe with the Horde. Even in Horde, not a lot of people knows the podcast. I'm pretty sure maybe like 50 people tops, and I get it because not a lot of people listens to them, especially with this kind of low population alone. Cut that in half, maybe even 20% of that people would listen, and that's okay. And if I ever decide to sub on that character again or that account again, I would probably play for maybe like a few months or something, like I said, to try to get to know people and try to get to know your side of the aisle.
Well, a bunch of us that are like cross-realm friends with each other wasn't because we played on the same faction together. What happened was when Honor was opened for phase 2, whatever, when Honor was added, and we had a lot of world PvP. Back then, you would cap out at 4 kills. So at 4 kills, you would be getting 0 honor from people. And so a lot of the time, because our population is so low, you would run into the same people over and over. You'd get 0 honor from them, and then you're just standing around for the rest of the day like, well, what do we do? And a bunch of us just started like almost having like a fight club where we'd meet up somewhere. We had a Discord we'd all get in, and we would just meet somewhere completely random or remote, and we would just do 1v1 duels and discuss like how to defeat each other, like how to counter different things. And like as Alliance, we got to mess with Shaman, which you wouldn't normally be able to do. Like you could just go out in front of Ogremar and start, dueling someone and kind of, work that way. But the only way that Alliance would be able to deal with that is if it's open world combat and your life's on the line, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so this kind of opened a friendly avenue for that, and vice versa. They also learned how to deal with paladins, and so doing that, we got kind of close. We got to know each other just from chit chatting and having these stupid little fight clubs, and of course that caused drama too. People saw us, like 1v1ing or just fucking around killing each other, and they're like, oh, these people are colluding for honor grinds, and it's like, no, we're honor capped. Like, this is what we do in the evening when we have nothing else to do because everyone else is honorless essentially. And it just kind of grew friends out of that, and it's that community, and all it took was just working together and just shooting the shit.
Sure, man. Yeah, I can't wait until this AQ40 thing comes out. It's gonna be a while, man. Or what are your prediction on this? When are we going to unlock the gates? Do you think?
I think our 5-day cooldown won't start for another week or two. Honestly, at the fastest. I mean, yeah,
that's the automated turn-ins, right? Like
no, because the automated is low, right? It's not like it automatically just pumps it up. It's just a slow progress to make sure. I think it's over 3 or 4 months that it eventually gets to that point.
Yeah,
but it still requires some player input.
I see.
Which we have put some in, but I mean, Bad Tank did a really good thing by adding in a Discord to bring together all factions, all guilds. Doesn't really matter what you are, just bring people together like, hey, this is what we need to farm, this is what we need to get turned in, get this done, instead of everyone just circle jerking each other and trying to one up each other, saying, well, I have this X amount of mats, and it not really being a thing. And I get where all that came from. It was just people trying to prevent larger guilds from getting a scarab amount and then instantly completing it so no one else could do it. But I don't think people realize just how small we are, and also how quickly a lot of that stuff could get done, at least the grind part for the Scepter quest. But the mat turn-ins, we've had a lot of time to prepare. I just don't think people have really had the room or energy to save it or organize it. A lot of people are strapped for gold most of the time, so I feel like people have been selling a lot of the stuff they should have been saving to try to make some kind of profit, which is fine in the long run. But we're last second now. Everyone's rushing, and that's worse than if we just had prepared some of the other realms. But it'll get done. It's not like it's over with, and we're screwed for all eternity.
Sure, yeah.
So I still think it'll be a week or two.
Yeah,
It could go faster.
Yeah, I think part of that was, it's all about the hype and that people were excited, oh shit, I can't wait to do this, to do that. I'm gonna farm so much. And some people, stuck to that. But I think the majority of them just kind of this hype is gone. So I'm they probably got scared not scared, but they probably got discouraged on how much shit that you have to put through in order to open this thing. So it's okay, why would I sell this 1,000 thing of Purple Lotus where I can just sell them in the auction house and make more money and have somebody buy it from me, and then so they can turn it in. I mean, I've turned in about maybe a few stacks of Purple Lotus and maybe bandages, because that's all I can do. My time is so limited that I can't sit here and farm all night, and just I have kids, and it's kind of a crappy thing to kind of to make an excuse, but
not really an excuse though, and you can't be held accountable. You have real life obligations that you need to take care of. You know, and you have kids. I'd prefer that you spend time with them and get to their needs than the needs of these random people that you'll never meet in real life, most likely.
Mm-hmm. And
Just people on a game, and the game's supposed to be your release, your escape, not your life.
yes, and part of that too is, like I mentioned earlier, like it is a game, but I made friends here, and I enjoy playing with them, and it kind of got it stuck with me. Like I don't think I can play in another guild again unless if something happened to this guild that they had to disband and rejoin another guild, then that's a different case. But I don't think I could ever play in a different guild. I like these guys are like kind of, not to be cliche, but like a family. That they took me in, kind of tolerated my just not showing up or not maybe helping other guilds out there, but they still take me into the raid, and I show up. Maybe it has something to do with that, and I never complain about the loot, and I just want to play with these guys because it feels right. It's one of those things that you kind of find sometimes, like when you're playing with a guild, it just feels right. Like there's joke around, and there's a little like not drama, but just a little argument here and there, but it's mostly benign, and it doesn't go into a full blown argument where people starts quitting. And just it's one of those things. I mean, I do, like I said, like I have kids. I can't play in the morning because I have work, but during at night I can probably do, like I also do this podcast too, so that's another thing for it. And we raid like every Fridays because that's the time that I can raid. I have the option to raid on different days if I wanted to, but my schedule right now is to it's to raid on Fridays. It's the best time. It's the best schedule that I can come up with, especially with having the kids. Put them to bed at night, and so I can play late at night, and I play all night on Friday, and get back on Saturday, and spend time with them, and go to work during the weekdays and raid again on a Friday. So
yeah, but you pay for a sub, right? And so your time is limited, and you need to do what's best for you to stay happy, to stay sane. And even if you're in a community that you have a lot of fun with and everything, sometimes if people don't respect your time just like you respect their time, it'll dig under your skin. It'll eventually cause you to go crazy, And sometimes you have to remove yourself from that situation.
Sure.
Because ultimately, you're paying to play a game as an escape, as a form of entertainment, as just something to do to pass the time, not worry about, wasting your life away over something trivial. So, yeah, I'm glad you have things balanced out.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, I think that pretty much covers on what I wanted to discuss, or I didn't really plan anything on discussing some sort of a topic or anything like that. I just had, I messaged you and you said, yeah, you're not busy, so cool, man. I'm glad that we did this. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, and I actually have only listened to a few of your podcasts.
Oh, that's all right.
People, and it seems like you just have generally a conversation. I have heard you bring up some points before, like you've written down, certain things you want to bring up specifically, or at least you mention it, which I was kind of expecting. But
yeah,
I like the format, just open discussion, bullshit about whatever, just have a good time. You can learn a little bit about someone,
Yeah, that's awesome because I thought about doing some sort of a scripted podcast where you know, it's nothing like news or anything like that. More like a stories. Like since it's an RP guild, I wanted to like create some sort of like RP stories, but I was too lazy. And with this format, I could just record us talking about whatever, and maybe edit it a little and post it. That's how easy it is. It's crazy sometimes that I think that, oh, it's like I don't want to do a podcast today, or I can't want to do that, but I do have the option to say that and to do that, because it's it's just me, and there's no person behind it saying that you need to finish this by this day, and you don't be late. So I'm like, no, I think if I don't feel like posting for 2 months, then I won't play my game, rank up or do whatever, and maybe post it on the second month or something like that. But I should interview more players, and it seems like it's getting really, really tough getting people in because of this stuff that's happening. Half of them are just raiding, and half of them are doing bug grinds. I mean, I can interview people while doing their bug grinds, of course, but at the same time they might not feel like it because they're in a chat with their guild, or maybe that they have time. They only have time to raid that night, couple of nights, like my situation is. And if I'm not on that night and they are on, then they kind of overlap our schedules, and doesn't fit in my time to have them on, because the schedule wise it's a little messed up. So
have you thought about maybe doing a separate kind of podcast, like get to know your guilds of DD, and like interview maybe a group of people representing a guild, and just kind of ask questions, and just to kind of like, hey, this is what we represent, this is what we are, this is who we are, and might get people that are maybe looking for like-minded people, especially in the RP communities.
Sure,
give them an option to hear these people in a kind of an informal interview, learn about the different guilds.
Actually, that's my first idea, was to interview guild leaders, not just Deviate Delight. It was I was gonna call it like guild leaders or something like that, guild leaders of Azeroth or something like that. Like I had that idea, but then I was like, well, maybe that'll be too much. Maybe I should start in a small group first, a small type of podcast, a small type of content. Because when I thought about that, I was like, that's something huge. I'm like, I got overwhelmed on that idea. I just kind of like thinking to myself, I'm like, if that goes out into the open community, which I'd probably like, but at the same time it would kind of overwhelm me. I mean, thinking about it now, it's probably great, but back then
it would be fun. It would be fun now, especially if you had some kind of format that you stuck to.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, and you brought in not just one-on-ones, but you had like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, I did.
All discussing,
I did have a thing. I still do have a thing where I'm going to, level a character and kind of pull them into my Discord and talk and ask them if I can record it, which I did. I think I did it for 2 episodes now. It's called like Dungeons and Conversations. So that's part of my Speed Limit podcast now. I just started that. The last time I did that, I went to Jump Runs. It's called Jump Runs in Conversation, episode 2 with Bulkathos. It was one of my guild mates, and I kind of trapped him into doing this. Kind of feeling bad now. I might have, just kind of, he was uncomfortable of kind of, maybe he was joking around. I hope he's just still joking around, but probably ask him if he wants that deleted, and I would if he would ask me to delete that. If he would tell me to delete it, I would. But that last time that happened, we were talking, and I'm like, 5 minutes, like 10 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, you mind if I record you? He's like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. He didn't exactly say yes, but
He also didn't say no at
he
the
still
same
didn't
time,
say no.
right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we kind of got into it, and there was like a scene there where we were on the end. We were mining, and we were gonna roll on the Arcanus crystal, and he rolled like 80. I was like, oh shit! So I rolled like 81, and then it was just a fun time for that moment for me. Kind of a memorable part of the podcast, and I actually recorded it in the video. If you want to see it, it's on my YouTube channel. It's not a big YouTube channel. It's just I just created it.
Yeah, if you want to send me the link on Discord, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at other formats that are like just doing things and having conversation, like Hot Ones, eating spicy foods and having a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just you're doing that, and then you're having a side conversation. You're learning a lot about the person.
Sure. Yeah.
Between Two Ferns, that was another.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Zach Galifianakis, isn't it?
Yeah. Just have a conversation with people, get to know them, learn about them. But at least it's got some kind of a format,
Yeah.
I think that's what you should push for.
Do you know Josh from Countdown to Classic podcast? That he did like some sort of a classic WoW podcast, and I actually interviewed him. He created a character here, just a level 1, and he's an Earth Fury. So it was kind of fun. He's from Australia.
Yeah, if you have links to that, yeah, I'd actually like to take a look at a bunch of that.
Yeah, there's I mean, you can search this on. Do you have Apple? Do you have Apple phone? Do you have a?
Will neither confirm nor deny my Prius driving, vaping, Apple ownership. Okay?
Sure. Well, you can search this Speed Limit podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podcast App Player. And I think he is episode 20, number 20. So, and you will be the 24th.
Yay!
Oh yeah, talking about mentioning the names thing. I almost created this name called Eat the Poo Poo. It's somebody linked it to me. It's like
you would have gotten banned instantly, man.
Yeah, but yeah,
I had a mage named Downey forever. Literally forever, and it finally got reported after like 6 years.
Oh no!
And it was Downey spelled like the fabric softener, and it's a surname. And the GM I talked to, because I got on live chat about it, I was like, "Are you kidding me, man? I've had this thing for like half a decade. Like how can you do to me like this?"
Yeah,
and they said, we get it. It's a surname. I'll bring it up with my supervisor. And, they're like, no, because it's derogatory. And I'm like, Jesus man, just give me a chance. And so, like, no, we're going to force a name change. So after they did, I just changed the name to Downey with an IE.
Nice.
And it hasn't been touched since.
Crazy. But yeah, man, do you have anything to mention before we depart?
No, it was a fun format.
Yeah, I'm glad you you stuck on our conversation. And I was hoping that you didn't say you said I was hoping that you didn't say
gamer words,
something that you might get discouraged on stopping the podcast. You're like, I don't feel like talking So
Oh no!
So,
I'm always for conversations with people at all times, so it's a pretty fun thing.
that's good, man. That's good. That's good to hear. So
Nice chatting with you and get to know you, though.
yeah, definitely, man. It's nice to meet you, and hoping to see you one day at the Silithus when we cross our path. I guess, right?
Oh, we're opening the gates sometime this year, hopefully,
Hopefully.
hopefully we have an RP event going on. So let's see
Alright.
where that goes.
Oh.
Yeah, they are planning something big for both factions to come in and kind of work together. So
I see.
we'll see.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'll be epic.
Yeah, it would be epic. All right, man. Nice talking to you again. You have a good night.
Same, you too. Take
Bye.
it easy, man.
Bye.
Bye.